Let me tell you about the night everything exploded, not quietly, not in tears, but in the middle of a goddamn family dinner, with everyone chewing roast chicken and sipping cheap wine, thinking life was normal. I wasn't supposed to say anything that night. I had come prepared. Too prepared. I had the envelope in my coat pocket for 3 weeks. A plain, white envelope with the weight of a grenade. I wasn't sure when I'd drop it, until she did what she always does. Push it too far. It was my wife's birthday. Her name's Kayla, by the way. Blonde, fake smile, always the loudest in the room. We were at her sister's place, Tiffany, a smug piece of work with the kind of laugh that sounds like a car failing to start. Her husband, Chad, sat there chewing with his mouth open, probably wondering how he ended up in a soap opera. The rest of the table was filled with Kayla's relatives. People who barely knew me but acted like we were best friends every Thanksgiving. I should have seen the setup. Everyone was gushing over our daughter, Lena. 2 years old, curly black hair, big eyes, and smart as hell. I love that girl more than anything on this planet. But then it came the joke. Tiffany sipped her wine and smirked. Too bad your baby looks nothing like you, Brandon. I laughed. I tried to laugh. Then Kayla leaned in, that red lipstick curling into a grin, and whispered loud enough for the table to catch it. Maybe I have a secret. And everyone laughed. They laughed at me. At my baby. Over dinner. That's when I stood up. No shouting. No fists on the table. Just quiet, steady hands reaching into my coat pocket. I pulled out the envelope. Kayla raised an eyebrow. What's this, Brandon? A love letter. I handed it to her. Since we're sharing secrets, open this. Boom. Silence. She looked at me like I'd just stabbed her salad fork into her Chanel purse. Slowly, she opened it. Took out the DNA test results I had paid $3,000 for. Lena's name. My name. A glaring column in red ink. 0% probability of paternity. Her face went pale. Not white, dead white. Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then came the first sound after the silence. Tiffany coughed. Chad dropped his fork. Kayla looked at me, lips trembling, but not from guilt. From fury. You're AF asterisk 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 ing psycho, she hissed. You tested our baby behind my back? Now that pissed me off. Our baby? You sure about that? She stood up, shoulders back, playing the victim. You're disgusting. No, Kayla. I'm just informed now. And here's the part nobody ever tells you about betrayal. It doesn't come with fireworks. It doesn't give you the dignity of a clear answer. It comes dressed in laughter, family dinners, and little whispers that cut deeper than knives. I turned to the table. Go ahead, laugh now. Nobody did. That's how it started. The real beginning of the end. Not with a hotel receipt. Not with lipstick on a shirt. But with a stupid joke and a whisper that gave me permission to blow everything up. So if you're reading this thinking he should have done something, don't worry, I did. I just waited for the right audience. And they were all sitting there with their mouths full. She didn't speak to me the whole way home. Not one word. Just sat there in the passenger seat, arms crossed, jaw tight, staring out the window like she was the one who got betrayed. I wasn't saying anything either. What could I say? The silence was thicker than the air in that car. I kept my hands on the wheel and my eyes on the road, but inside I was screaming. My heart wasn't beating anymore. It was cracking, slow, and steady like the windshield under pressure. When we pulled into the driveway, she finally broke the silence. You humiliated me. Not I'm sorry. Not let me explain. No. You humiliated me. That's what she led with. I turned to her slowly. I humiliated you? Her eyes were wild now, glossy with rage, not remorse. You did that in front of my entire family. You blindsided me like a damn psycho. You went behind my back and tested our baby. Not our baby, I said, my voice low. That hit her. Quick flash of guilt in her eyes, gone in a blink. You don't know what you're talking about, she snapped. Those tests aren't even always accurate. You probably went to some janky clinic. I went to 2, I said. 2 labs. Paid out of pocket. Same result. She blinked. So what, Brandon? You want a trophy now? You proud of yourself? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. No apology. No explanation. Just venom. Pure, cold venom. I want the truth, Kayla. That's all I ever wanted. She laughed. Not a real laugh, sharp, hollow, cruel. You couldn't handle the truth. She slammed the door and walked into the house like she owned the world. Like she didn't just set fire to our marriage. I sat there in the car, gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. That's when I realized this wasn't just a betrayal. This was war. But the thing is, the clues had been there. I just ignored them. Call it love, or maybe stupidity, either way, I played blind. 3 months earlier, things had started to feel off. She'd always been glued to her phone, sure. But now she'd flip it over every time I walked into the room. Changed her password twice in 1 week. Told me I was paranoid when I asked why she needed to work late so often when she didn't even have a real job, just freelancing some marketing crap from home. Then came the perfume. Not hers. Not the scent she usually wore. This one was stronger, heavier, almost desperate. And the way she'd come home some nights, smudged lipstick, hair tied in that lazy high ponytail like she just got out of a gym or someone's bed. The first time I brought it up, she rolled her eyes. You sound insecure. Maybe go to the gym yourself and stop imagining things. That's the kind of thing she'd say, always turning it back on me, making me feel like I was the crazy one. But I wasn't. Not anymore. One night, she was in the shower. Her phone lit up on the dresser. I didn't even plan it. I just looked. A name, Rick Wineglass. I didn't know a Rick. Certainly not one she should be texting at midnight with a wine glass emoji. I opened the message. Last night was wild. I can still smell you on my fingers. I dropped the phone. I remember my stomach going hollow. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. Everything went still. That text was a bullet, and it hit me dead center. She came out of the shower minutes later, wrapped in a towel, humming. I just stared at her. My mouth opened, but no words came out. She kissed me on the cheek like nothing happened and went straight to the bedroom. I didn't sleep that night. I lay there next to her, staring at the ceiling, while she snored like a damn baby. And that's when the rage really started to grow, not loud rage, but the cold, focused kind. That's when I called the lab. If she wanted to play dirty, I'd play smart. She had no clue I tested Lena's hair while she was sleeping on the couch. No clue I sent it off in 2 separate envelopes to 2 different clinics. I needed to be sure. Because I wasn't just going to burn down our marriage, I was going to do it with receipts. And now here we were. She stormed into the house like she was the victim, like I had crossed the line. But deep down, she knew. She knew the truth was out. And I wasn't going to stop until every lie she ever told me was dragged into the light. She didn't sleep in our bed that night. I came in around midnight, after sitting on the back porch with a bottle of whiskey and 1,000 thoughts clawing at my skull. She had locked the bedroom door, like I was some kind of stranger. I knocked once. No answer. I didn't knock again. So I slept on the couch. Same couch Lena used to climb on with her stuffed dinosaur, giggling like the world was simple. That couch smelled like her baby powder and fruit snacks. Now it smelled like defeat and silence. In the morning, Kayla acted like nothing had happened. She came out of the room in a tank top and leggings, brushing her hair, sipping coffee. Not a word about last night. No mention of the envelope. No talk of the fact that our whole life just split at the seams. You gonna take Lena to daycare? She asked, like this was just another Tuesday. I looked up from the couch. My neck ached. My eyes were red. I hadn't slept. Don't you think we should talk? She didn't even blink. About what? Don't play games, Kayla. She rolled her eyes. You've been playing investigator like some insecure loser, and I'm the one playing games? I stood up. Who the hell is Rick? That stopped her. Just a flicker. Just long enough to know I wasn't guessing. She turned her back. Nobody. A friend. Jesus, Brandon. A friend who smells you on his hands? Her back stiffened. I could see her shoulders go tense. She didn't turn around. Didn't deny it. Just walked over to the sink and started rinsing out her coffee cup like we were roommates who barely talked. I was shaking now. So what was I? Just a place to crash? Free babysitter? The idiot who pays the bills while you go ****ing strangers behind my back. You know what? She snapped, spinning around. You're pathetic. You weren't there for me. You stopped being a man months ago. Just moping around, whining about work, pretending to be this perfect dad. I needed more. That hit hard. It didn't even make sense, but it hit. You needed more? I said, stepping closer. So your solution was to sleep with someone else and pass off their kid as mine? She's still your daughter, Brandon. You raised her. You changed diapers, did midnight bottles, all that crap. What, now she's trash to you because of some blood test? I could barely breathe. I felt like I was standing in front of a mirror that had just shattered. Every word out of her mouth was sharp. No apology. No grief. Just spinning the knife, acting like I was the monster for finding out. I still love Lena, I said quietly. But I'll never forgive you for doing this to her. For dragging her into your mess. She scoffed. Don't act like a martyr. You just want an excuse to leave. I laughed bitterly. I stayed through the fights. The cold nights. I stayed when you shut me out, made me feel like a stranger in my own home. But this? This is betrayal, Kayla. You didn't just cheat. You build a whole life on a lie. She didn't respond. Just stared at me with this blank look. Like she was already checked out. Like none of this mattered anymore. That's when I realized I was talking to a wall. So I grabbed my keys, took a breath, and said, I'm getting a lawyer. She didn't stop me. Didn't ask for a second chance. Just turned back to the sink and said, do what you gotta do. And as I walked out the door, one thought haunted me. She never loved me. Not really. She loved the idea of me. Loved the comfort, the paycheck, the image. But love? Real love? That's not how love stares you in the face after you hand over a DNA test. That's not how love lets you walk away without a word. She never cried. Not once. But I did. In the car. Alone. With the engine running and my whole life behind me like a burned-down house. And Lena? God. Lena didn't ask for this. She didn't deserve to be part of her mother's lies. But I wasn't going to abandon her. No matter what the test said. The first thing I did was park 2 blocks away and just sit there, hands on the wheel, thinking about nothing and everything at the same time. The world outside kept moving, people walking dogs, kids on bikes, sprinklers spinning over lawns like it was any other morning. But inside that car, I felt like I was stuck in a void. My whole life, my marriage, my trust, even my role as a father, had just been turned inside out. I finally drove to my buddy Mike's place. He's been my best friend since college, one of the few people who doesn't sugarcoat anything. When I told him I needed to talk, he didn't ask questions. Just opened the door and handed me a beer. I didn't even wait. Just dropped into the chair and said, she cheated. The kid's not mine. Mike froze. Wait. Lena. I nodded. He blinked a few times, like he didn't believe what he'd just heard. Dude, what the F*******. I got the results. DNA doesn't lie. He sat across from me, eyes wide. Jesus Christ, man. Are you okay? No. Not even close. But I said, getting there. He was quiet for a second, then leaned in. What are you gonna do? I already told her I'm getting a lawyer. Good, he said. That's good. Don't let her turn this on you. I stared at the floor. Too late. She already did. She's blaming me for not being enough. Said I was pathetic. Mike shook his head. Man, that's classic manipulator garbage. She lied. She had someone else. She let you believe you were that kid's father for 2 damn years. That's not just cheating. That's next-level betrayal. He wasn't wrong. And the worst part? There was still a piece of me that didn't want to let go. Not of her, but of Lena. That little girl still called me daddy. She still reached for my hand when she was scared of thunder. Her laugh still echoed in my chest like music I couldn't stop loving. And even if she wasn't mine biologically, I had been there for every scraped knee, every bedtime story, every tear. I'd been her father. And now I had to figure out if I still could be. Later that afternoon, I got a call. Unknown number. Mr. Carter, a woman's voice said. Yes. This is Jessica from Weston and Ford Law. You scheduled a consultation? Yeah, I said. That's right. We can see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Perfect. The next day, I walked into that law office with my documents, copies of the DNA results, Lena's birth certificate, even a flash drive of screenshots from Kayla's phone I had saved before she changed her password. The lawyer, a sharp woman named Rachel, looked through the papers without blinking. So, she said, folding her hands, do you want to go for custody? That question hit harder than anything else so far. She's not mine. Not biologically. Rachel shrugged. That doesn't always matter. You've acted as her father. You're on the birth certificate. You have 2 years of presence in her life. The court may recognize your parental rights under psychological parenthood, especially if the mother is unstable or deceptive. She is, I said, but I don't want to drag Lena into a war. I just want what's fair. Rachel leaned forward. What's fair is up to the court. But if you walk away now, Kayla can make sure you never see Lena again. That was my nightmare. Not losing Kayla, screw her. But losing Lena? No, I wouldn't let that happen. That night, I returned home. The air was thick with tension, like a storm that refused to break. Kayla was in the living room scrolling through her phone, pretending I didn't exist. I spoke first. I talked to a lawyer. She didn't look up. Of course you did. She said I might be able to fight for custody. Now her eyes snapped up. Custody? Of my daughter. Don't play that card. You made me her father. You don't get to erase me now just because the truth came out. She stood up, fist clenched. You think any judge would give you my baby? You're not even blood. I'm more of a parent than the guy who smelled you on his hands. And I've got everything backed up, Kayla. Every text. Every time you left for your meetings. Every moment you lied while I was raising her. She was furious. But I could see the crack in her armor. She hadn't expected me to fight back. That was her mistake. She forgot I still had something to protect. And I wasn't letting Lena go without a fight. Kayla started pacing like a caged animal. Her eyes darted around the room like she was looking for something to throw, or maybe just a way out. You're insane if you think you can take her from me, she hissed. I don't want to take her, I said. I want to protect her. From you. That shut her up for a second. Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. I am her mother. Yeah, and you used her. You used me. You let me believe she was mine while you played house and sneaked around behind my back. You laughed at me, with your sister, like I was a damn joke. She turned red at that. It was a joke. People joke. You're too sensitive. Oh, so telling a room full of people that your husband might not be the father of your baby, then finding out he isn't, is just, what, comedy now? She crossed her arms. You made a fool of me. I took a step toward her. No, Kayla. You made a fool of me. I just made sure everyone saw it. For once, she had no comeback. She just stared at me, blinking fast like she might cry, but no tears came. She wasn't the type. The tears came when she needed something, never when she was caught. I walked out before I said something that would make this uglier. Went upstairs to Lena's room. She was napping, one little hand gripping the tail of her dinosaur like it was her lifeline. I sat on the floor next to her crib and just watched her breathe. This little girl didn't ask for any of this. She didn't ask to be a secret or a weapon or a question mark. She just wanted a dad. And God help me, even with everything shattered, I still felt like her father. I stayed like that until she woke up, and when she did, she reached out with a sleepy smile and whispered, Daddy. That was it. That word broke me open. I pulled her into my arms and held her like the world was on fire and she was the only thing I could save. Because maybe she was. Downstairs, I could hear Kayla on the phone. Her voice was sharp, hushed, pissed. No, he's threatening me now. He said he wants custody. Of course I told him no. He's losing it. I couldn't hear the reply. Then Kayla again. He's playing victim. I bet he's been cheating too. Probably wants to run off with someone and take my baby. That was the moment I knew she wasn't just selfish. She was dangerous. Rewriting reality already. Painting me as the villain, preparing the stage. But I was done being quiet. Done being the fool. The next morning, I took Lena to daycare myself. Kayla didn't say a word when I left. She sat on the couch, texting, ice cold. Probably coordinating damage control. After dropping Lena off, I headed to the courthouse. Filed for a court-ordered mediation and temporary visitation rights. I wasn't wasting time anymore. When I got home that evening, the locks had been changed. I stood on my own porch, gripping the doorknob, laughing under my breath. Of course, that's how she wanted to play it. I knocked once. She opened, arms crossed. You don't live here anymore. That's not up to you, I said, holding up a copy of the court paperwork. You've been served. She snatched it from my hands and slammed the door in my face. Fine. Let her rage behind closed doors. I'd seen enough. Later that week, I got a message from an unknown number. Just one sentence. She told Rick you were abusive. I stared at it, heart hammering. Another message came through. I believed her. Until I saw the envelope story online. I didn't know the baby wasn't yours. She never said. Attached was a photo, Kayla and this Rick guy at a bar, her hand on his chest. Same night she told me she was with her sister. I saved everything. Let her lie. Let her bury herself. Because now I had what I needed. The truth, the receipts, and the fire to follow through. This wasn't about revenge anymore. This was about Lena. And making sure the one person who deserved none of this wouldn't get caught in her mother's game. Kayla had started a war. But I was done playing the fool. The custody hearing was set for 9:30 a.m. on a gray Monday morning. I wore the same Navy suit I'd worn when Lena was born, the same one I had on in all the hospital photos where I was holding her with tears in my eyes, thinking she was mine. I brought everything. The DNA test, the screenshots, the messages from Rick, even character references from neighbors who'd seen me walking Lena to daycare every morning while Kayla slept in. I had proof. But more than that, I had history. Real, lived in, day after day fatherhood. Kayla arrived late, of course, wearing a white blouse like she thought it would make her look innocent. She didn't look at me once. Her lawyer did all the talking. Claimed I was emotionally unstable, that I'd threatened her, that Lena would be confused if I remained in her life. But the judge didn't bite. He looked at me carefully, asked me questions about Lena's favorite cartoon, her allergies, her morning routine. I answered every single one. Then he asked Kayla who Lena's pediatrician was. She blinked, looked to her lawyer. I think it's the one on, Maple something? That moment sealed it. The judge didn't rule for full custody. But he did something better. He granted me joint legal rights and weekly visitation while a full evaluation was pending. Kayla lost it right there in the courtroom. Screamed about biased systems and cheating husbands and tried to storm out before the session was even over. She looked unhinged. Her mask cracked. When we left the courthouse, I saw Rick waiting outside by her car, leaning on the hood like some budget version of a bad decision. I walked right past them. Didn't say a word. I didn't need to. She saw the way I held that court order in my hand. She knew I wasn't bluffing. Weeks passed. Things got quieter. Lena came to stay with me every Saturday and Sunday. I turned the guest room into a proper kid's room, soft pink walls, glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling, that same dinosaur toy on her bed. The first night, she ran in and said, "Is this my new castle?" "Yeah," I told her. "It's all yours." And just like that, the ache in my chest didn't feel so sharp anymore. One night, while she colored at the kitchen table, she looked up at me with those big eyes and said, "Mommy says you're not my real daddy." My stomach dropped. I walked over, knelt down next to her chair, and looked her right in the eye. "I may not be the one who made you," I said, "but I'm the one who will never leave you." She smiled, nodded, and went back to coloring. Simple as that. Kids don't need blood. They need presence, love, truth. Kayla tried a few more stunts. Reported me to child services for neglect. Said I left Lena alone in the bath. But it didn't stick. The investigators showed up, looked around my place, saw the fridge stocked with her favorite snacks, the stuffed animals on her bed, the baby monitor in the corner, and just nodded. "Looks like she's got a good thing here," she said before leaving. Kayla's stories fell apart fast after that. Last I heard, Rick dumped her. Apparently, he didn't like the idea of raising another man's kid either. Irony's a hell of a thing. The final court date was brief. The judge made it official: shared custody, alternating weeks, joint medical and educational rights. When we walked out of that courtroom, Kayla tried one last jab. "You'll always be second place," she said, sneering. I looked at her, calm as ever. "No," I replied. "I'm the only one who showed up." She didn't have anything to say after that. Now, things are steady. Lena's growing fast. She's got a laugh that still melts me and a mind sharp enough to ask the toughest questions at bedtime. We read books, build blanket forts, make Sunday pancakes with too many sprinkles. And every now and then, when I tuck her in and kiss her forehead, she still says, "Night-night, Daddy." That word means everything. I lost a wife, but I found the truth. And I kept my daughter. If you're reading this and you're in the middle of something like I was, don't wait. Don't beg. Don't drown in betrayal hoping someone like her will grow a conscience. Get smart. Get solid. Get free. And above all, fight for what's real. Because sometimes blood makes a child. But love makes a father.